Have you ever been in a meeting where acronyms are just being thrown around like everybody should know what they are, but you're sitting there with your notepad writing them down so you can look them up later? Or is that just me? Well, if you have ever felt that way, then no, you are not alone, especially when it comes to the hiring process, because there are a lot of acronyms that recruiters and hiring managers just assume that other people know. But why would you know them if you were never taught them? So in today's video, we're going to break them down. And we're going to start off with JD. This stands for job description. And what a job description is pretty straightforward. It's a description of the job. And you're generally going to find a summary, what type of work experience is needed, preferred, required, type of education, what the responsibilities are of the job. So if you hear JD, just know job description. Next up is ATS. This stands for Applicant Tracking System. Not all applicant tracking systems are created equal. There's a misnomer that if you hear of an ATS, then that means it is this bot that is simply rejecting you without even passing you along. Well, I have worked in organizations big and small. Some have ATS systems, others don't. Some have applicant tracking systems that strictly just track the applicants, such as you get them in and they are sorted by the job that they're applying for, the time that they had applied, and pretty much that's it. Other times it is more in depth, and that is going to depend on what system the company has. Generally, the bigger the company, the more money they have, and the more evolved their ATS system will be. Now, does this mean that you are automatically being rejected by these systems? No. And that is a whole other video to get into. For now, just know ATS stands for Applicant Tracking System. Next is a CV, or a curriculum vitae. Now, don't get this confused with a resume. A resume is a 1 to 2 page document which is highlighting why you are a specific fit for a specific role. And if you would like a handy guide on learning more about resumes and how to use ChatGPT to level yours up, make sure to check out my free guide in the link below. But back to resumes versus CVs. CVs in America specifically are geared towards certain professions, and those are going to be like the medical field, academia, research, and this is a compilation pretty much of everything that that person has been doing. So it's not limited to 2 pages. It actually doesn't have a limit because a CV is intended to house all of it, all of the education, all of the experience, all the research, all the publications, a comprehensive look back at everything that that person has been doing. But do not think that the majority of positions require a CV. The majority of positions require a resume. And I do want to say that is US specific because you will hear the term CV more in other countries. Next up is EOE, and you're going to see this on a lot of job descriptions, and it means Equal Opportunity Employer. And this is important because there are federal laws that cover discrimination in the hiring process. And when you see this, it means that that employer complies with those laws. And you may be thinking, shouldn't all employers be equal opportunity employers? There are some exceptions to EOE. Now, they are few and far between, but some of them may be religious organizations where they can make a hiring decision based on somebody's religion. They could be a very, very small employer that might have to abide by some laws, but not all. So that's why you won't see it 100% of the time, but you will see it the majority of the time. And next up is RTO, which you might have heard a lot about in the news in the past year or two. And this stands for Return to Office. And it's usually an RTO mandate, which means a return to office mandate. Now, the landscape of employment changed when COVID came along. A lot of positions that required an in-office presence were moved to remote. And there was thought that maybe that is the direction that we are headed. But there are reasons that employers want their employees in the office. So slowly but surely, they are rolling out RTO mandates, whether that's a hybrid schedule or back full time. So if you see that, just know that it means return to office. Now, next up, we are going to cover interviewing acronyms. And these are actually all around the same concept, but it's like they made it more complicated by throwing more of them in. But I want to let you know it's not complicated at all. And if there are any concepts that are a bit confusing in the hiring process, make sure to let me know in the comments below so I can create a video on them. Okay, so back to the interviewing acronyms. I'm gonna list them in no particular order. S.T.A.R, P.A.R, C.A.R, and C.A.R.L. If you hear any of these, it's in reference to behavioral type of questions. And behavioral questions generally start with, tell me about a time when, or how would you deal with this specific situation? It is getting to the heart of how you have or would take action on a specific issue. The S.T.A.R method, which is the granddaddy of them all, stands for situation, task, action, and result. Now you might be asking, what the heck does task mean? And that's a good question, because that has a lot of people scratching their heads, including recruiters. So in an effort to pare that down, they went with P.A.R, which is problem, action, result. And that's a common acronym you're going to hear. But more recently, there has been C.A.R and C.A.R.L on the scene. C.A.R stands for challenge, action, result. So pretty much the same thing, right? The challenge or the problem. But C.A.R.L levels it up even one more notch. And that stands for challenge, action, result, and what you learned. So when you are answering a behavioral question, this is a wonderful guide to help you frame your answer. And I love actually the C.A.R.L method, because when you are talking about something in the past, throwing in that L of what you learned elevates your answer and makes you stand out to be like, oh, yes, they've learned, and from there they have grown, and that is going to look great. So here you go. Some acronyms that you're gonna probably hear in the hiring process. They're not so intimidating. They're not so bad. Now, if you would like some additional interviewing insider tips, make sure to check out my video here.